Hey guys, Todd here. Today we're going to show you how to install the Dometic slide for their CFX3 cooler on our Toyota Tundra Overland build. Now this is a universal fitment, so the tools that you require may be a little bit different, but the tools that I'll be using for this installation are a drill with a couple of drill bits. I've got a 5/16 and an 1/8 inch. Also got a 5mm Allen wrench and a 13mm wrench. Now make sure you're subscribed to our channel to stay up to date with all our latest content. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, now before you get started, you want to dry fit everything. Now this is a universal application and every rig is going to be a little bit different, so just kind of take the principles that I give you and apply them to your situation. So if we had power coming to the bed of the truck, that might decide what side of the bed I'm going to put the cooler on. We do not currently have power going to the truck. We're going to be operating this with a battery. So what I did is I set the slide so that the battery can kind of be tucked right into a little place and trapped so it can't move around too far whenever we're driving. Next, you also want to go underneath the truck and make sure you're free of any kind of obstructions. You don't want to drill into anything that might cause some damage. You also want to make sure that you can work around different things as well. Now you're also going to want to make sure that everything operates before you make it permanent. So make sure your tailgate can close, make sure all your components still work that you want to have working once this is a permanent fixture. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and pull everything out. I've gone ahead and marked with some blue painter's tape exactly where we're going to put the slide, so when we pull it out, I'll know exactly where to put it back in. We're going to separate the slide from the base and then go ahead and set the base in place. Okay, so this is how we're going to separate the slide from the base. What we're going to do is pull this lever and then slide the slide away from the base. When it is fully extended, the lever will lock. And then you're going to find on the rail, we've got a couple of levers on the rail, one on each side. The one on this side is going to push down, the one on this side is going to pull up. Then once those are extended, you can go ahead and pull the slide the rest of the way out, just like you would with some drawers. Push the rails back into place, set this to the side, and we're going to take the base and set it back into the truck where we got it marked. Okay, before we set this in place, let me go ahead and explain some things on this particular application. First of all, we're dealing with a composite bed, not a sheet metal bed. If this was sheet metal, we could just install this with some sheet metal screws and call it a day. But because you don't want to really run self-tapping screws and expect it to hold in composite, you want to do a bolt running through with a washer and nut on the bottom. We're going to have to treat this one a little bit differently. Also, you'll notice I've got some spots marked on the tape. It's because where both of these bed bolts are, there's actually a cross member that runs underneath the bed, so I've got that measured out and marked, so I'm not drilling down into those areas. Because when I drill a hole, I want to be able to put a washer and a nut on the opposite side underneath the bed. We're also going to have to be a little bit more precise with this than we would be if we were just using self-tapping screws, because the washer has some thickness to it and it needs to be centered in the rails that we're drilling through. So once we set this in place, we're going to go ahead and mark on the rails where the holes are going to be and then drill the holes. We're going to start with an 1/8 inch and work our way up to a 5/16, because that's what I'm using as a bolt, 5/16 bolt. Okay, now if we were going to do a sheet metal bed, then I could just use self-tapping screws right in the holes that they've already provided for us, and that would be just fine. But since we do not have a sheet metal bed, we have a composite bed. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to drill holes. I've already got the 4 locations marked and center punched. I've also made sure and measured everything up so those holes are going to be in the center of the channels so the washer can fit in. So what we're going to do is I've got a bolt that's going to go down through the hole, and then from the bottom of the bed, I'm going to push a washer up and then also a nylock nut so that that can't go anywhere. Once it tightens down, it won't loosen back up. Also, when you're drilling into composite, be careful because composite does have fiberglass in it and the dust can be irritating to your skin. So clean up carefully. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and step up to the size to match the bolt. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put the hardware down through the holes we just drilled. Once I have the hardware in through the holes, I'm going to go underneath the truck, put on a washer and a locking nut. Then I'm going to have someone hold the locking nuts with a wrench while I tighten everything up with the Allen wrench up top. All right, now we're going to do that all 4 locations. Some of the holes will just kind of go straight through. Some we'll have to thread through like I just did this last one. Okay, now we've got all 4 bolts in place. I've got someone underneath the truck with a wrench holding the nylock nut still. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten up on the top. I'm going to do that on all 4 bolts. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take our slide and line it back up to our rails. We're also going to want to make sure that this is slid over to the side, otherwise it will catch on the lock. All right, when you set your cooler in place, note that you've got some feet on the cooler that lines up to holes on the slide. So just make sure those line up and then set it in place. Okay, now you're gonna have 4 straps in your kit that we'll use to secure the cooler to the slide. When you look at the base of the slide, you're gonna notice you got a couple of slots on the front. The way these straps work is they just go through the handle, through the opening in the slot. And these are just cinch straps, so we squeeze down on that and push it up from the bottom. And then once we have it in place, cinch it down, do that on both sides. And repeat the same for the opposite side. All right, now we're going to go ahead and test the operation of the slide. So just pull the lever, locks in place, pull the lever again. There we go. Now just hook up to your power, and that concludes the installation. If you found this video helpful, make sure and give us a thumbs up. If you want to know more about the products, check the link in the description below. And as always, if you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online at RealTruck.com.